Today I'd like to look a little bit at the economy and the upcoming elections in the United States. As you know, most of you know, I am a psychic as well as a life coach, and I like to look at many aspects of our lives and our spirits. But this particular snippet or rendition is based upon the economy and the new presidential election that's coming up here in the next couple of days. When I saw President Barack Obama on his steps of the courtroom, which was years ago, I had a little bit of a conflict with a friend of mine who was a Republican at the time. And I said, well, he will be our next president. And I am an open-minded, independent voter, and I really wasn't saying that to offend her. But yes, my prediction did come to pass, and today he is our president. Looking at the election itself, I feel that they're both sort of, running neck to neck, hand in hand with their own vision for the country. However, I feel that President Obama has a slight edge over Mitt Romney, and I feel that he will win. Not by a huge margin, but I think a relatively small one. And I felt that, and I've had this prediction with me for the last 3 years, that he would get a second term. There's going to be some changes in the economy, I feel, and he is going to be a much stronger ruler in his second term. I'm not quite sure whether I feel he will still work on the bipartisanship, but he would be more convinced of his own sense and own sense of will. I do feel the economy is going to bounce back in a much better way than we are foreseeing, but there are many political polls that are kind of causing a lot of delays going into the future as I see it. Now I would like to look at how is it that I can feel and see some of which is happening, and also the state of the economy and how is it that we have got here. And I'll try to do this within the next few minutes. It's kind of a crash course look. As you know, I always try to tie in spirit with our state of being, because it is somehow connected to this state of being. And the state of being of a nation or the world is generally created at the highest level by our state of consciousness, what we think, how we act, and how we relate to each other. Being brought up in a Methodist home, I have become more of a spiritually minded person, understanding that the higher consciousness, which I call God or we call love, is for all. And if we are in the state of love and well-being, then the presence of God is surely with us. It is as simple as all that. I do profoundly believe in the sayings of Christ, but I also believe in some of the higher masters and the higher gurus that have taught us many good things that have helped our hearts to grow and become better. Then how is it that the economy today is in such a dilemma? Well, it is not really as bad as we feel it to be. The universe always ebbs and flows. You have the positive and you have the negative. One almost cannot exist with the other in the level of physical consciousness. And what are we calling physical consciousness is, where we can touch something, where the vibrations are so low that we have turned into matter. And in the world of matter, we have the good and the bad, or the light and the darkness, or the good and the evil, which we say. And most things carry this within them, whether it is animate or whether it is inanimate. This state of economy did not suddenly come overnight. It was built by our inner consciousness. And you know that the universe has a way of breaking and making if there's an imbalance in something. As you can see now, how much of devastation Sandy has created. Well, there was an imbalance in nature, and it has, kind of started its stuff, and now there is disaster. And that is the same thing that we find in economies. If there is an imbalance in it, if people have become greedy and they are trying to pull wealth together, or they're clinging together and not sharing, then even scientifically, the universe will cause certain breakings so that it would become evenly spread. Humanly, we don't like to see that because some of us have more wealth than others. And in order to bring it to a more even keel, we have to let go of some of this wealth. And that becomes sometimes a difficult thing for the humanness of us to do. And so we kind of want to cling to it a little bit more, and we try to manipulate it. But interestingly, it will find balance. Nature and what we call the higher consciousness, our God, will find a way, whether we like it or not, to bring it back into the balanced consciousness. And at the two very ends of the spectrum, we will always have the very wealthy, and we will always have the very poor, because that does create balance. And if we're looking at the center of it, if the center balances, if we are looking at a scale and it's tipping up one way, then nature and all forces will definitely try to tip it back into balance. And that is the wonder of the physical consciousness, the consciousness of matter, so to speak. Can we change that? Can we in the future make a conscious decision to keep a balance? Of course we can. Each of us in our own spectrum of thought can do this. And therefore, when each of us think of love and good things and with kindness in mind and non-judgmental ways of thinking, and undivided ways of thinking, without saying, well, he's a Muslim and I am a Christian, or I am an atheist and you are something else, or you're a Democrat or I'm a Republican. Whatever that division may be, if we can understand that we are all very different, but we are all very important and significant in this bigger scheme of things of the eternal soul, so to speak. And that we are all reaching that higher goal. We're all working through this as much as we can. If we can respect our differences and also feel one with our differences and respect that we are different, then I feel that we can consciously become a better nation. And also the level of consciousness will then demarcate how the balance of our economy will become. And it actually begins truly with the mind and how we conduct ourselves from our mind into our bodies and from our bodies into the universe. And then it continuously flows, the ebb and flow of things. So can we make the economy better? You and I can. And we can start off with our own self, with our own personal development.